Hello and welcome to this very special interview on podcast. Today I have with me a strategic affairs expert, Mr. Manoj Joshi. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. Sir, how has COVID situation changed the world structure and specifically Indian structure in terms of democratic setup?
Well, it has, in most countries, it has returned authority to the central government, meaning central government has taken extraordinary authority
Hmm.
to deal with the situation. And so it is in India as well, where we see that it is central directives which are, uh, making policy for the whole country. And so we are supposed to be a federal country, but most of the decisions are being taken by the union government in New Delhi. So
Hmm.
that is one aspect of it. The second, of course, is that it has also enhanced uh, various states. They want to keep track of people who are affected by COVID.
Hmm.
They're introducing apps, phone-based apps to track people. Uh, India has also introduced one, the Arogya Setu, but there have been charges that this is not transparent and no one knows who all are sharing this data.
Like there are some
Okay,
security concerns with that app.
there are some security concerns, and I read in the paper today that the MIT has also rated this and also said that amongst the democratic countries, India is the only one that has made such an app mandatory rather than voluntary.
Sir, how has this changed the whole world structure itself? Because the reason why I'm asking this question is because there have been several articles also written that even after COVID-19 situation and pandemic, US and China are still having confrontation. So how will this change the world structure?
No, it is not in that sense. You see, what it is doing is it is accelerating certain trends.
Uh-huh.
So, US and China already had tensions.
Yeah.
What this is doing is accelerating it. And the reason why that is happening is because both countries are looking at each other and they are wondering whether they can gain advantage from this.
Mm-hmm.
You see that, the Chinese got the infection first, but they also were able to overcome it and get their economy going again.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of the United States, that has not happened as yet. And so there is a kind of a geopolitical tussle. That's why the US is accusing China of deliberately doing this.
Mm-hmm. Sir, now coming back to Indian structure, sir, do you think the government has been like successful in handling the situation better?
No, in the sense that the government seems to be out of touch with the real world, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
there was absolutely no anticipation of the migrant crisis, for example, meaning no one took into account that if you lock down the country suddenly, what will happen with jobs? How will people make their living? What could be the consequences of this? I don't think anyone really thought this through.
So there was no planning, right?
There was no planning. I don't think there was even a kind of awareness, meaning the powers that be are simply,
Mm-hmm.
they are in their bureaucratic shell. They have no idea as to how the real world works. Meaning, I don't think many of us had an idea as to the extent of dependence that many parts of the country have on migrant labor, number one. And number two, they had no idea of the extent of migrant labor, meaning the whether it is Kerala or Gujarat or Karnataka,
Mm-hmm.
and where this migrant labor comes from. And so now you are having everyone is scrambling to deal with this situation, and we are now 2 months down the line. We are still scrambling to deal with it, and there has been huge failure in of anticipating these issues.
So some states have also changed labor laws like UP, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat. Some experts are saying it is against migrant workers and even the workers because it is taking away most of the laws and it is in favor of the industry. While the government is saying that this is very necessary step to promote investment and entrepreneurship and business given the situation. How do you see this?
You see, the point is that yes, there are some labor laws which tend to be restrictive.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, on the other hand, the labor also needs protection. I mean, say, at the end of the day, if the labor doesn't get protection in a particular state, they'll go to another state.
Hmm.
Okay, that is one. Number two, I mean, say states like UP and MP, their problem is not the issue of labor law.
Mhm.
See, their problem is they just don't have any infrastructure. They
Mhm.
don't have any physical infrastructure, meaning people are not educated. People, they don't have roads, they don't have bridges, they don't have regulatory infrastructure. So to think that they will get investment just by removing some paper laws on paper, I think is imagining things. It's a delusional this thing. They are fooling themselves if they think that some change on the paper law will lead to investment pouring in. To have investment pouring in, they need to have far better infrastructure, far better human infrastructure. And
Mhm.
human infrastructure means educated people, people who can labor. If you people invest in factories, you need trained labor. You need quality, sort of people who are educated, who have public health care. So all those things are needed. So I don't think people have really understood this issue.
Mhm. Sir, now talking about economy, before the lockdown, we already had unemployment rate which was very high. It was around 8.74% as per the CMI data. And now, as per the recent data, it has touched a 27% unemployment rate. How do you see economy in this situation? Should the government lift bans and lockdowns in partial, or there should be like overall lift of the lockdown because it is
See,
harming the economy very badly.
See, there is no doubt about that. The
Mhm.
economy has basically been gutted, meaning there is, I'm saying even now, if you lift all the bans, lift all the restrictions,
Mhm.
you just cannot get the economy going. The labor has gone,
Yeah.
and the labor is not going to come back that easily.
Mhm.
They've had a traumatic experience, and so many of these factories, etc., they will just not be able to reopen. So
Mhm.
the impact of this is going to be pretty severe, and it will be quite long lasting. So I think that this and in any case those 27% or whatever it is figures, those are still misleading because there is a huge amount of underemployment also, meaning people
Mhm.
who are maybe 30%, 40% more, people who simply don't earn enough out of whatever they are doing, even to feed themselves.
Mhm. So,
So it's a much more serious situation.
mhm. Sir, the last question: how would you see the 20 lakhs crore package that the PM announced yesterday?
Well, it's a good step in the sense that it should have been taken much earlier. But as has been pointed out, this also includes half of it, roughly half of it is steps which had already been taken earlier. They are counting other things on to.
Yeah, because the Prime Minister said it is so far 20 lakhs crore if we add all, not
Yeah.
separately. Am I right in understanding that?
Yes, meaning when you add all the previous steps also taken, you know,
Mm-hmm.
then it amounts to 20 lakh crore. Secondly, the first part we know how it's being divided. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what has already been announced, the measures. We are not sure what exactly is going to be the disbursement of this additional about 10, 12
Mm-hmm.
thousand crore.
All
So
right.
unless that is clear, we will not have a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so
As
much, sir.
to
Thank you.